morning, Matt.
Good morning, Will.
Good morning to all of you.
Welcome to Games for Breakfast, the only internet talk show. We talk about this week's gaming and tech news, but that also is not about Pokemon at all. Well, sans one of the most important Z-A stories that we'll get to after some housekeeping in a moment, and we'll go over that. So I don't want to. I overpromised the underpromise, which I guess is kind of my thing.
I feel like that's true, but like it's really not about Pokemon. Not nearly as much as the rest of the news in the internet is about Pokemon right now. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but like every time a Pokemon game comes out, and it's doubly true of Z-A because it's the first Pokemon game on the Switch too. Every gaming site SEO maxes for Pokemon.
Oh my God.
It's like everywhere. It's worse than when they did it for Silksong, and they really did it for Silksong.
And look, we're doing it.
I mean, we're doing it, and that we're not doing it.
We're doing it to call out that it's being done, but then not doing it except for one specifically doing it kind of thing.
Ha.
See?
Nah.
It's
yeah. All right, great. Now that we've Statler and Waldorfed it up, shall we get on to what, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to say it's the most important piece of housekeeping that we have to do.
Yes, please. House the keep.
The house that will be kept this Saturday, October the 25th, from noon Eastern to midnight Eastern is my birthday. We're going to be playing Deep Rock Galactic in support of Direct Relief. There's going to be crowd control. We're meeting up with the mods tonight to decide how much it will cost as a charity donation for you to summon unspeakable insectile horrors from beyond the ninth gate in order to murder all of us in hilarious fashions.
I have to install the game.
You do. That's part of why the insectile horrors are going to murder us.
That's fair.
We're going to have all kinds of things from small $1 to you want to do a big thing, that's going to be more. We might even have a special donation to turn up or down the hazard level. Haven't decided on that yet. Working on all of those things. But what I do know is that we have an excellent list of guests. We have a fantastic schedule for you planned. We're going to have all kinds of cool charity rewards. And the $3,000 one is something I have cooked up on myself and haven't even told Matt about yet. And I'm very
you figured it out?
Yeah, I figured it out.
Cool.
Yeah. Great.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I love crowd control streams. I love doing it for a good cause. I love hanging out with all of you. I think we will be streaming that both on Twitch and on YouTube, ? I believe. Yes.
Is correct.
And it'll be fun. So pop in, pop out, say hi, support, if you can, that would be lovely. Rock and Stone, all that jazz. I've heard so much about Deep Rock Galactic, and I'm very excited that my first true foray into the mines essentially will be so unhinged that I will never fully understand what the base game is ever again. I
feel like that's correct. I think we're going to make you the driller.
I love drilling.
Matt, do you like flamethrowers?
Yes. In fact, I'll tie this all together in a nice little bow. Will wrote a very lovely short on Friend Slop that will be coming out roughly, or Friend Slop ? That will be coming out, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. We kind of fast tracked it because it also advertises the birthday stream, etc. And I added a little thing into that script about how I do actually think Helldivers 2 is Friend Slop, but don't tell Super Earth. And in Helldivers 2, my main chaosium element of choice is the flamethrower.
Yeah.
It's not effective, and it just hurts my team, and I do not care.
Well, in this case, the driller has a flamethrower that's very effective and does hurt the team, but like won't in the normal way. So I mean, does in the normal way, but it's fine. So we're probably gonna
Darter, I like a lot of these comments too. Darter, we mentioned, wrong one. That was Jimmy. Sorry, Jimmy. We do mention it. We actually do take a little dig at AI slop very quickly at it. The short's very good, Will. We kind of brainchilded that very quickly, and Scott did a phenomenal job.
Okay, so sometimes what you see here are two idiots having a breakfast talk show when we're kind of tired and getting started with our week. And sometimes we have banger episodes. And sometimes we pilot the content Jaeger so flawlessly that it is incredible. And I feel like this short is a representation of us piloting the content Jaeger. Also, here now requesting fan art of both what the content Jaeger looks like and me and Matt's Beans wearing Jaeger pilot suits, because I think that would be cool.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Anyway, so anyway, all of that to say, please be
Get back in that Jaeger.
All of that to say, please join us this Saturday, October 25th from noon to midnight Eastern. We promise it'll be a good time. We have a movie planned for dinner, in the finest tradition of our breakfasts, or of our birthdays. Yo, I cannot English today. This episode's going to be
fine.
wild.
We're doing great. Will, we're doing great.
So good. We do have a public domain movie. Many of you may have heard of it. It is called The Last Man on Earth. It's a 1964 movie. You may be familiar with the remake of this movie or the remake of this movie called I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. This is the original black and white interpretation of that novel that got turned into that Will Smith movie. I'm very much looking forward to this. I've never seen it. It promises to be a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Vincent Price in it. That's correct. Yeah. So please join us for that on Saturday as well. So yeah. Okay, I think that's all of our housekeeping. Or house cleaning. Yeah. Although some people may need to do more house cleaning because of our next story.
That's true.
So
you want to make sure that you've changed the various. This is a really okay. You know what? I was gonna make a litter box joke, but at the same time, I actually don't know the physiology of what we're about to discuss very well.
Yeah.
It seems like between translation errors, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo don't do either.
That's correct, Matt. So we've had a deep existential Pokemon lore question answered, and we would not be a gaming news show this week if we didn't do at least one Pokemon story, so we picked only the most important, which is that the Japanese version of Pokémon Z-A confirms Pokemon poop.
That's right. Never before in the canon, from what I understand, has this ever been mentioned.
No, it hasn't. This has sort of been one of the things that's been hand-waved, right? So, like, Jeff and I have been playing through Shining Pearl, and Jeff has had some very interesting questions, like, what are burgers made of in the Pokemon universe?
Ooh.
And that's a great question, Jeff. Next question. And the question of Pokemon obviously eat because they can eat berries, but do they poop? Never been answered canonically before. But now, thanks to a piece of side dialogue in Pokemon Z-A, only in Japanese, because in English it simply refers to Pikachu's tummy problems. It's not as clear, but in Japanese it definitely says poop. Definitely says poop.
So I guess the question then is, and maybe this is different based on the size of various like real world animals, right? Like, does Pikachu? Okay, there's two questions really. Does Pikachu poop in the Pokeball? Like, do all the Pokemon have like little bathrooms when they're in there? Or do they have to wait till they're out of it? And then is it based around how domesticated the Pokemon is, how large the Pokemon is? Like, do you need like actual like fields for them to graze and do their business in? Or if they're small like Pikachu, is that like a litter box situation?
You know, these are really good questions, and I don't... You know, Matt, I'm terrified of thinking about it for too long, because then I feel like we'll begin to ask other questions like what the Great Pokemon War was about.
There was a Great Pokemon War?
Well, there's a Pokemon military.
Okay. I've fallen off since the days when Ash was fighting to be the very best that no one ever was.
No, this is the original one. What's Surge a lieutenant of? The electric type gym leader is named Lieutenant Surge.
Sure, but that's like, listen, I think we know a lot of people that like give themselves military rank and they are not in militaries because they think it sounds
because they all dress like Guile for fun. You know, that's fair. That's valid. Although, right, I feel like this is just one of those deep lore questions that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are just like, shut up, stop writing us fan letters. Like, that's really what it is.
I don't know. Let's see.
There are at least 3 different canonical wars, according to Nova,
actually,
who is our Pokemon expert.
Lias has a great... we didn't mention this yet. Darumaka poops. It is written in the Pokedex that people actually cover themselves in poop to keep warm.
Ah.
So is that the first mention? And
well,
this
okay,
tummy problem,
but importantly,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's only confirmed that one species of Pokemon poops, right? Because it's like a thing that it does, right? It would be like if we had a wildlife dictionary and people thought that only wombats pooped because wombat square poop is mentioned, or cubic poop, if you will, is mentioned, right?
I'm loving a lot of the lore dumps.
No, there's a huge amount of lore here.
Dumps.
Yeah.
So Lieutenant Surge is actually a veteran, according to Fire Red and Leaf Green. But does it say a veteran of what, Rios?
I believe it's one of the canonical wars. One of them takes place, I think, right before Red and Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Yep. No, that's, I feel like this is really the truth of it, right? It's like Uma Musume. Don't think about the lore too hard or it breaks your brain. That's true.
But then, okay, I would ask this question, Brad and Janet. If we're not supposed to, like, the only purpose of lore is to think about it too hard. Otherwise, it's story.
I'm gonna fire back on this one, right? Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Think about all of the consequences and implications of the fact that in the Cars universe, there's a pope.
No, yes, think about that. That's my point. If
Don't think about that.
No,
Why are
think
you...
about it. That's where you start unlocking your full potential.
Right, I guess, sure, right? I don't know. It's just very fascinating to me that this is all, like, the story is interesting. The story about the story is also really interesting, that a number of people have, like, latched onto this as, like, being the big reveal of Z-A. It's not any of the mega evolutions. It's not any of the cool gameplay stuff. It's not the fact that it runs on the Switch 1 pretty well, or, like, and there's lots of cool stuff about it, but neither Matt or I have played it, so we're not really going to talk too much about it. It's this lore implication that Pikachu poops.
Yeah, I think it's very important to really, dive into this particular story, because again, Will and I have not played it. We hope if you are playing it right now, you're enjoying it. I do know that my special correspondent who was supposed to come in today has not gotten back to me yet, so that
okay.
will not be happening. Okay. But I will report for her. Extra History's wonderful artist, Allie, messaged me on Friday, apparently, because it came out Friday, yes? Or
yeah, like Thursday at midnight.
Thursday or Friday? Yeah. She had pre-ordered a special version of it, and apparently the plushie got delivered, but the game didn't. And so far, there is no response back from customer service on that. That stinks. That stinks. And I'm sorry, Allie. I'm sorry. That's awful. And I hope you get your game soon. That way you can dive into the deep lore implications of a specific small yellow Pokemon and how its digestive tract actually functions and finishes the job. Yep.
But if you're playing Z-A, we hope you're enjoying it. Everything I've heard about it has been largely positive, despite some concerns early on about like Mega Evolutions being locked behind Pokemon or behind ranked battles online and some other stuff. But largely, I've heard good things about it, so that's good. I'm glad.
Is anyone in chat right now? Have you been playing it? Have you been liking it? I would like to, if before we kind of move on and we can ramble for a bit about this before, I'd like to know sort of like your favorite thing and your least favorite thing, because every time a Pokemon, I have not really gotten into a Pokemon game, probably, God, maybe the Game Boy Advance days. And we tried after a panel, after a design club live, we tried to get into Scarlet and Ruby.
Violet.
Is that right?
Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet. Ruby and Sapphire, Scarlet and Violet.
Thank you. Sorry. And I tried to keep going with that and I just couldn't. And I'm always like, ooh, is this the one? You know, like that gets me back in the game. So I'd be curious.
Yeah. Copper Chef points out that there have been a lot of QOL improvements.
Okay, good.
So that's really good. I'm always happy when, because Pokemon's a menuing game, right? Pokemon is a game about menuing. And to have quality of life improvements there is always good. Also, as an aside, I will address this here and now as a representative of Brad. I heard that there was a heist and that the French crown jewels were stolen out of the Louvre. I know where everyone in Brad who's feverishly a fan of heisting things was at the time of said heist. Definitely. And know nothing about the heist.
Fair.
Yeah.
Battle system and gameplay loop, but how dull the city is. That's kind of been a thing in the Pokemon games, right? Have any cities in Pokemon games been like, oh man, that's the best? Like, that seems that Kaguru, that seems like a Pokemon type.
By the way, Janet can't see it. Brad is currently losing their mind with these heist emotes.
Heists.
There's a heist emote over on Twitch. Of course. Because of course there is. Yeah, I just think it's always good when Game Freak takes meaningful steps forward, because they're kind of in a league of their own, right? They don't really have competition in their space. Palworld isn't really competition in their space. It's a competition in an adjacent kind of weird aside space, but it's not competition in their space. And so it's always nice when they innovate because they don't have a lot of pressure to do so. So it's nice when they do.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on to the rest of the news this week? So
I believe so. I heard this as well, Dragon. Just a real quick thing.
One of the big problems is that every time Pokemon comes out or a big game comes out, all the websites SEO max for it, which leads to what feels like, we're going to say, a slow news week. But it's really not, because there's a bunch of like important stuff that's just not as flashy that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the stories we have today are actually quite interesting, and we wanted to kind of top load the episode with the stuff about Pokemon because, you know, in the name of the game, we do like talking about what's going on in gaming. Though since Will and I have not dove into this yet, we couldn't talk about it specifically other than asking you your opinions and this one silly story. But that doesn't mean that like everything else slows down. It just means Pokemon kind of takes all the air out of the room in the news cycle. And we want to make sure, SEO be damned, that we actually talk about the other things that are going on that have broader implications for the industries about games and the tertiary stuff than the release of another Pokemon game, which again is news, no question.
Right.
But
it's just not like it is as expected. There is a game. There are Pokemon in it. Most people like it. Some people are disappointed in some parts of it.
Yeah, that's a story we've heard before, right? And so, and I found it funny that the poop story is the one that kind of like,
breach containment
floated to the top, because the way, like, if that's the thing that people are talking about, that probably just means that the people that like the game are playing it, and the people that don't like the game don't like it enough for their dislike to break containment.
Correct. Yes. It's literally like, it's a Pokemon game. It's kind of like how there weren't any stories around the Switch 2 launch, except for like...
because everyone was just playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, because everyone was like, great, this is it. This is what we're doing now. So, yeah. Okay, so first up on our list of stories, we're talking about TwitchCon. This is the 10th TwitchCon. And we've got two batches of stories, one of which we're going to deal with because I think it needs a lot of professional critique. And the second one is we're going to talk about the problem, a historical problem that TwitchCon has had. So first up, this is what got announced at TwitchCon. Okay, this is all of their announcements, and I hate some of these a lot.
I read them all, Will. I'm so curious on your thoughts.
Okay, so number one, Twitch is continuing to invest in dual format streaming. So it means that we could go live both horizontally and vertically. I don't actually know that would make much of a difference for us. Like we might experiment with it at some point, but they are doing.
What would that do to our frame?
I would have to run a second canvas. So essentially, when we go live in horizontal and vertical, it doesn't do anything. I go live on Twitch twice at the same time, once with a vertical frame and once with a horizontal frame.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not. I would say with all like Twitch has tried to stop competing with YouTube. That's why they completely ceded the pre-recorded content space, right? And even the VOD space, right? They have completely said, don't, like, we have a clip somewhere saved of a Twitch live stream that ended with, if you missed this, don't worry, you can catch it tomorrow on YouTube. From the main Twitch account. From Twitch. In their own chat saying, if you missed this, don't worry, you can see it tomorrow on YouTube. Like, they've seeded that game entirely. So this is them, I feel like, trying to compete with TikTok. I don't really think that this is going to make a huge difference, but it is a thing that they are continuing to do, and we could look into it at some point. Yes, that is, yep, that's also true.
That was the thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, you can also just turn your phone sideways and watch things in 16:9, like the makers of technology intended. Yeah. Also, they've announced that you will be able to go live on Twitch from your Meta AI glasses.
Okay. So I have not used any of these. I don't like Meta as far as I can throw it. And I will say if it was a different company doing it, their partnership with Ray-Bans was really cool. But I still won't I won't support it or use it. This feels very strange to me. Like, okay, so does that mean specifically they want you to be able to stream the forward-facing camera from your glasses?
Yes.
So, like, anyone could just stealthily...
Yes.
Cool.
Correct. It's a horrible idea. It's an absolutely horrible idea. And, by the way, the camera control will be terrible. The camera control on mobile streams is already bad. Like, huge props to IRL streamers, the links that they go to stabilize their video. Like, some of them have Steadicam, like mobile Steadicams, to help with like motion sickness, but like it already jerks stuff around.
Yeah.
It's bad technologically. It's bad social. No. Bad. Dislike. 0 out of 10. Great. Okay, next up, clips. So they've been doing a bunch of stuff with clips. One of them is that they've been adding a new feature where if you post and share a clip from someone else's channel, you can get a badge in their chat if your clip reaches a certain number of views on social media of their content.
Stupid.
It's very stupid. It's turned off for our channel. Don't worry, I turned that off. I didn't start with that. No, like, that's a whole thing. That's sort of their idea with clips. And so they're doing...
I'm all about trying to figure out different ways to get people to engage with clips.
Right.
But that seems like a lot of, how do I put this? A lot of faux, not that the effort is faux, but like it's the thing you can tell. God, I am pontificating and tinfoil hatting very hard here, so please don't take this entirely seriously. But this is a product like this or a feature like this feels like a boss said, we need a way to get people to share clips more. Yes. And then to get it off their desk, someone's like, what if we gave them a free digital shiny thing?
Yep.
And they're like, brilliant. And they did it. But without thinking of like, do people actually care about this at all?
That's correct.
But they're building it.
Yeah. So
and then they can say, look, we did it. And then it's not going to work.
That's correct. So their perceived problem, in spite of all of this, is that streamers don't end stream and immediately make and share highlight clips of their stream. In fact, that's about 1 in 4. We don't, largely because when I'm done with stream, especially on like Mondays, for instance, I'm pretty cooked. And then I have to do the chapter titles. If you're watching this later on YouTube and there are chapter titles, we don't put those in right then. We do
because
those
we don't know what they are.
Because we don't know what they are, right? We don't know how long
where they are is more accurate.
Right, yeah. We don't know how long we're going to talk about this, right? So that comes after our Monday stream, and Matt and I have a chance to get done with our Monday work, and then we meet later in the evening to do that, right? So like that's what happens as soon as I get off stream. I don't have time to like make and share clips. So their solution to this is that a new feature called auto clips that they're building. It's not live yet. Don't worry. Don't panic. Okay. Are you ready to scream, chat? Are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna read.
Warm up. Remember, it's important to pre-scream.
Me. Right. Okay. Great. You. All right. Awesome. I'm quoting directly from the Twitch.tv blog. Okay. You ready? As you stream, auto clips will help you automatically create clips based on the best parts of your stream using AI and a variety of signals from the broadcast, such as positive excitement from the stream or funny banter. You can also handpick these moments while streaming by simply saying, clip that.
So it's going to scan for when we say clip that?
That's correct.
You know, I don't care about that.
Okay. So I kind of do, in the same way that I care about the fact that Alexa works the way Alexa does. So the way that Alexa works, or any other Amazon device, or any other Google Home device, is that the microphone is always on.
Yeah.
And that we're aware that we're broadcasting this. This is obviously done with intent. But the idea of them crawling through content, listening for key phrases, feels really weird to me. It explicitly doing that, right? I'm sure they do it anyway, but like...
I was going to say, that's already been being done for a long time. Now they're just giving the consumer something to do with it, as opposed to collecting data or doing anything else. Like, there is... again, this to me, and I'm open to rebuttal. Wow, we're off the Pokemon joke, so I don't need to do that anymore. I feel like this is just an ease of, because otherwise it's like either you say clip that or you click and you move a thing and you have to do the whatever and blah, blah, blah.
So I'm going to say that it's actually bad for chat engagement, because one of the ways that you can engage chat is by asking them to do a task, right? All right, deep psychology time. Chat will sometimes disengage for a variety of good reasons. Sometimes it's a slow stream, sometimes things are happening, whatever. But when someone new comes into chat and I say, hey, Brad, there's a new Brad, be nice, don't lick them. I swear, Janet, this makes sense in context, okay? Brad will immediately begin spamming lick emotes in chat. That's sort of a thing that drives chat engagement, right? Similarly, saying, hey, chat, can someone clip that pop-off I just had, right? Is a way to foster chat engagement, right? And so this is removing that and replacing it with something that is almost certainly worse. Because the best that this clip thing is going to be able to do is get an approximate thing. I'm going to have to go back.
It's going to be timed. You'll set it to be 30 seconds.
Right. I'm going to have to go back and reclip it anyway. So it's not really saving me anything. I could just put a marker in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. And I don't see the value being added for them explicitly spending time, energy, and resources crawling through all of our content, waiting for a streamer to say, clip that.
And I agree with all of that. I will say they're already doing that data collection and scraping to everything that's going across their servers. Like that's probably one of the reasons why this is financially almost soluble for them.
Yep.
This is just an option giving to people if they want it. I think I wouldn't turn it on. I think I could see use cases for people that maybe are, I don't know, just starting out, don't have that much of a engaged chat, etc. Just something quicker to do that they can also remind. Like, to be perfectly honest, what I would love, and maybe there is a way to do it somewhere, is literally just leaving markers for yourself to go back and do it later.
There is a way to do that.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that from your stream deck.
Yeah. So leaving markers is always something that I like doing, so you can go back and know, oh yeah, wait, this moment was good. And then you could do the actual work of
Yep. Also, I've been exhorted to have a rant about Rocco's Basilisk later while I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay.
So that's fun. Okay, next up, some good stuff. Watch streaks. If you watch a channel a lot, you'll unlock watch streaks. Watch streaks were a beta-only feature, and now they're available more widely. you can, if you watch a channel continuously, you'll be able to get them. That's cool. That's nice. It's a little engagement thing. It's a little, hey, you've watched a bunch of this. Have a little number go up. Awesome. Co-streaming's improving. Nothing really to say there. It's nice that we can see what the reach of an event that is being co-streamed is.
Yep,
but
that's
it's a small thing. Combos, nothing really to say. They took you ever on mobile, you go to like TikTok or YouTube and you see the little like floating awards or other, it's that, but for Twitch on desktop. It's not great, but like it's fine, I guess. I don't know.
They're doing their more streamer-led promotions because September works so well. They're letting certain streamers unlock that, right?
Right,
like
except that is the streamer taking part of the cut as well.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a contentious thing about where the revenue, who is losing money for a discount on a sub.
Yep.
And how much of it they're losing is kind of it's a fine idea, but the exact numbers are the part that need the fine tuning. We've talked about those before, though. Yeah. They're working to do more sponsorships. They're changing some safety and moderation stuff. There is a really cool thing which is gonna impact us, which I really like, because we're actually currently using Twitch in a way it's not intended, which is that groups of people are gonna be able to more effectively manage a singular Twitch channel, which I really like. With like role updates. So that's all the big stuff. There wasn't like a big killer feature announcement at TwitchCon this year, which is kind of weird. Normally there is, unless they're calling AI clips like their big killer feature, which is not great.
I don't think Twitch is in a position to be, sadly, dumping a lot of money into something large and whatever, but also they need the idea, right? I think some of the stuff we're mentioning here, like maybe 40% of these things feels like getting a task off someone's desk, not a creative innovation that really is going to help move the art of live streaming forward.
Yep.
And again, I don't have that either, but it's also not my job to.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. All right. And then we would be horribly remiss if we didn't talk about the problems of TwitchCon. So let's set some background. You've never been to TwitchCon, right?
I have not.
Okay. I went to TwitchCon once. It was fine. There were plenty of like networking opportunities and workshops and stuff. I found that it wasn't a great value for the time that it took away from stream or the cost to fly out to San Diego and get a hotel room and spend a couple of days doing it. It wasn't for me. I think there are streamers and people for whom it is, but it didn't do anything great for me.
Did it feel like performative education?
Yes.
That's not to say you can't glean something important from it.
Yeah.
But I think when you add up the reason why I really enjoy going to gaming conventions, PAX, Gen Con, Unplugged, whatever, is because like while there might be edutainment thing, maybe we even do them like in Design Club and stuff like that. Like there's no intrinsic promise to it. The promise is you're going to go see a bunch of fun games, maybe meet some people and play some things, right?
Rivals is big there, right?
I feel like VidCon and TwitchCon specifically are like, yeah, you get to go see your favorite creators or whatever, but also like there's business tracks and I don't know. Like, has anyone in chat, in either of the chats here, Brad or Janet, ever gone to one of these things and like gotten like some really good advice that moved them forward? I'm sure it's happened,
right?
But there's an intrinsic promise to these things that to those like cons like that I never really like, because I feel like it's so hard to actually deliver on, and it's such a cost and time sink.
I think one of the things that holds it apart from something like GDC is that TwitchCon and VidCon are double-sided. There is a public-facing side and an industry-facing side, as opposed to GDC, which is explicitly industry-facing only, right? Or PAX, which is explicitly public-facing only.
Yeah, like
right?
GDC, it's interesting. GDC is what, I mean, obviously it's different a little bit, but like the audience is what these conventions used to be. These all used to be just industry things that then all of the gaming journalists and magazines and things would go and talk about, or right. X-Play, right? Like, or Attack of the Show or anything on G4.
God, you're gonna make me turn into dust.
Right, but like now we're all our own G4s. So, now that it
I
seems
call
like it
dibs
makes
on
more
being
sense.
Morgan Webb. Anyway,
Damn it.
all right,
That's the strongest one.
correct. All right, so having been there before, I will tell you that one of the problems that has existed with TwitchCon for forever as part of the professional track is Twitch not doing a great job taking care of their streamers that they invite. So I'll tell you a story, and then we'll go into what happened this year. So when I went, there's a thing called the partner party. You have to be a Twitch partner to get in. You have to register ahead of time. You cannot, I don't believe you can even bring, you might be able to bring +1s, but like it's a specific event for Twitch partners, offsite at a different place that's fully hosted by Twitch that's supposed to be pretty swanky with like a DJ and stuff. When I went, there was a table, and on that table were pre-poured drinks left unattended. Tight. There's a huge number of red flags. It's a massive number of, I don't understand basic safety and security at public events, number of red flags. That's like a huge absolute, like if you are someone who is watching a space for signs that it is unsafe, that is one of them. And indeed, it was unsafe that year, and several people were hospitalized that year as a result of those drinks. Okay, great, excellent. Twitch has had a problem with con security for a very long time. And we need, I am personally of the rather extreme opinion, and again, this is just my personal opinion, that TwitchCon is absolutely a stain on Twitch's professional reputation and should be canceled. It is always dangerous. There is never a year where there is not a story like the one that we're about to tell you, where someone is injured, someone is assaulted, someone ends up hospitalized. Every year at TwitchCon, I do not recommend going to TwitchCon. That is my personal recommendation, okay? Because this year, what happened was Emaru was doing her meet and greet, which, let's be very clear, she wanted to cancel. And Twitch said that she was contractually obligated to do if she wanted to do any of the other things that she wanted to do at TwitchCon. That she was contractually obligated to do this meet and greet over her objections about her personal safety. And indeed, when a individual, that was a 4-time self-censor, when an individual came out of the crowd and assaulted her, and Twitch security did nothing about it, right? Her fears were justified. In fact, her own security and her own manager took care of her after this incident. And Twitch later on that day said that the person had been removed immediately from the premises, which Emaru vehemently disagrees with in her own statement on the matter. And it sort of highlights that Twitch doesn't do a good job of running conventions.
Because this is the interesting thing. Conventions as a whole, and I actually don't know, we could actually find this out pretty quickly, who runs TwitchCon. Because it's not Twitch. Like, right. Twitch is in charge of TwitchCon, but who puts TwitchCon on?
Right.
Because there's only a few companies now that basically run, like ReedPop and a few others that run conventions. I cannot imagine
this is ReedPop.
Yeah.
It's way too sloppy to be ReedPop. ReedPop does PAX.
I'm trying to see.
Yes, that is correct, chat. It was, in fact, not Emaru's normal security guy. It was her backup security guy, because her normal security guy got banned from TwitchCon after he stopped someone from assaulting her a couple years ago. That's correct.
I knew there was a twist there as well.
Right. It is like, again, I don't see the benefit of going to, like, if you go to TwitchCon or you're a person that goes to TwitchCon and you have fun, that's great. I'm so glad you have a good time. I can't recommend going to someone who's like asking for my honest opinion on it as someone looking out, right? Like,
so what I'm finding here very tertiarily, I don't want to hold this story up too much, but what I'm finding out is it actually is run by Twitch.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, great. Okay.
There's Twitch Interactive is the parent company of the streaming platform Twitch.tv. Twitch Interactive is the company and then Amazon owns Twitch Interactive, which owns Twitch.tv. That might mean that they are just buying a bunch of different vendors to do different setups, and they don't have an actual company that specializes in, and again, I don't know. If anyone can find more information, please shoot it our way. I don't want to just slow everything down here. I didn't know we'd sort of dive into this bit of nitty gritty. But that speaks volumes to this. Like, I'm pretty sure, let me look up. Like, company puts on VidCon. Like, I know it's gonna be like YouTube, but like that's not. Yeah, here we go. So Informa is a company that runs VidCon. It was acquired from Paramount Global in 2024. Informa operates conventions through its Fan Expo subsidiaries, which runs events like MegaCon and Toronto Comic Con.
Sure.
Right?
There are specialists that do this, and it is absolutely, obviously, the height of hubris for a streaming platform site to attempt to put on an in-person convention. Those are not the same thing, right? It is, have you ever been...
I'll say this real quick. We have been approached in the past with companies around either gaming conventions or other things to throw parties with them, be in conjunction, like, you know, Extra Credits presents blah blah blah, and every single one by the end of the conversations we have turned down because, this isn't everyone. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I remember, and I'm not gonna throw names or do anything like that. But I remember getting into a specific conversation with a group that I was like, oh, what's the security detail? Like, how do you handle that? And they're like, oh, we'll have someone at the door. And I was like, no, sure. That's someone checking IDs and tickets, but like security, like you're going to have 300, 400 people in a space. How is that being, and like, oh, well, we don't have that. And I was like, well, then you don't have us. Like, it's very simple. Like, coming from a television background in production, I have run sets before, and it's different, of course, but there's so many different contingencies about safety and all of the things that you have to plan that are other than the one thing you are doing, a shoot, a convention, etc. Like, you need to make sure that everything else is locked up, or else the core reason why you're there will have cracks and inevitably be far worse for the product and the people who are putting it on than if you think of those contingencies beforehand. A lot of people just think that they can throw an event or a party. And you can't. Like, when you get to a certain size, you can't, without thinking about things like security, without thinking about things like venue safety, fire exit, like all of the stuff that, like, heaven forbid you never need to think about on the night. But TwitchCon seems like a pretty good example of, like, well, you didn't really think about this thing, and one of your biggest streamers just got assaulted, and her staff had to handle it.
Yep.
It's pretty rough. Yeah. Not a good look, TwitchCon.
No, it's really not, right? And so, yeah, also, we should be continuously calling this out, even if it's not, like... Every time TwitchCon comes up, I try to not shut up about this because this is a systemic problem with TwitchCon, to the best of my knowledge, globally.
I want to actually say this too, and maybe that's why, and again, tertiary research right here, I won't even call it research, I Googled it for 3 minutes, who runs TwitchCon. If it is not a convention company, that is an issue.
Yeah.
But I also want to swing the pendulum the other way and say, managing a convention of a ton of people is insanely hard, and you can have the most buttoned up security and still have awful things come through. Nothing is for sure. Like, people do work hard at these conventions. TwitchCon specifically has had problem after problem after problem after problem. It has now become the narrative of TwitchCon where streamers don't feel safe going.
Yeah.
And when you've gotten there, that is an endemic failure of your system. Like, so like, I just wanted, there's two sides to this. One, it's incredibly difficult to pull off a con. The other side is Twitch doesn't seem to be interested in putting on one that is safe.
Correct. And I also want to point out that, like, yes, it is impossible to be prepared for every contingency, but their response, right? You don't need to be prepared for every contingency. You need to have a generalized response plan to when things you haven't anticipated happen, and their Twitch failed again, right?
And this isn't something too, like, this isn't something that like, oh, they couldn't have planned for this X, Y, and Z. This is literally, here's a famous person meeting fans. What do you do in that situation? Right. Do you perhaps have security around certain lines to like make sure that like stuff like this can't happen? That's step one. This isn't like a big brain thing that happened here. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. Yeah. We could go into more detail about the reports about the behavior of Twitch security, but suffice it to say, they failed on every level. Right. And that's just unacceptable. So Twitch, do better. Also, to just go back real quick, we don't need AI clips. Why are you doing this? Stop that. Stop. Get some help. Do better. Okay, let's talk about something completely different now so that I don't scream endlessly.
Reboot.
Let's talk about Switch 2.
Now, in stores.
That's right. Can we do this in 2 minutes and 20 seconds? I think
this is a short story. Yeah. I just find it interesting.
Yeah. So the Bloomberg is reporting the Switch 2 has ramped up in an attempt to sell 25 million units this year. That's the story. That's pretty ambitious. And it means that if you were a person who didn't get a Switch 2 because you didn't want to hassle with pre-orders, they are available in many places on store shelves now, which is pretty impressive given that the last major release where we had like pre-order hiccups and everything was the PlayStation 5, and you couldn't get one for forever, and now there are just Switch 2s on shelves.
Granted, that was COVID
also
well.
True. But
it's
here's
just
something a stark difference.
I really think, and I'd have to go back and look at specifically release dates and how they've played out, but like, I think, and again, Nintendo's doing its own stuff. I always want to preface, because I know everyone's mad at Nintendo, and I'm mad at Nintendo about a couple things too. This is about a console release strategy. I think it is very smart to do what they did. Release it as much as they could, again, dancing around the tariffs in what? It was May? Was it March?
That
April,
sounds
May?
right.
It was earlier this year.
It was, the tariffs were initially announced the day the Switch 2 was announced.
Which was May.
April.
I don't remember. Anyway, let's talk about a little bit before summer or summer. And then by the time the holidays come, you've ramped up production, gotten your ducks in a row, and now there will be more units available for those who can buy one for a gift, right? Yep. Like, this isn't going to be the FOMO of like shortages of a thing.
Yep.
It seems like they slow rolled it. And again, I was looking at the in the Kotaku article, they had a graph of like Switch hardware through the years, and you can check that out in the show notes. But basically, if they do end up getting the numbers out that they want, they're chasing the Switch One's popularity. Like, the trajectory could match it eventually, which is something that they want.
Yep. So that's cool. Now it is time for the part of the show where we do fake ads while Twitch chat gets real ads. So, please stay tuned while Matt and I do some hilarious advertisements for things you can't buy, while Twitch chat gets ad for things that they can buy to turn pre-rolls off so people can just hop right in and catch us doing our thing. So, we'll be back in 3 minutes. For those of you seeing ads, everyone else, stay put as Matt attempts to sell you a thing.
Oh, it's me, huh? Okay.
I did the intro. You get to...
Great.
Yeah.
Hey, fellow youths, it's me, Uncle Matt, trying to sell you internet security specifically for when you do conventions. Here's what you gotta do. First of all, you pick me up a pastrami on rye, and then you get it ready for me wherever you want me to sit down. And I'll go to your little cartoon convention, I'll talk to all the people in the bunny ears, and I'll say, hey, you're safe, don't worry about it, just don't do any of your events while I'm eating the sandwich. Because I gotta tell you, when I'm eating that sandwich, I'm not looking at nothing but the beautiful, beautiful condiments and bread in front of my face. So just go do that, I'm hungry. And that's my impression of TwitchCon security.
It's a very good impression of TwitchCon security. Okay.
I don't know where I blacked out.
It's fine. No, that's pretty good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hi there. Will from Extra Credits here, content specialist, here to sell you the idea that you could do so many better things with clips than AI. That's right, like making it easier for viewers to clip. You did that. That was good, right? Or asking streamers how you could improve the clipping experience to help them manage it on their social media, in addition to all of the other things we have to do after we stream, right? Instead of setting up AI and spending a bunch of money developing an AI model to scrape our content for us, you could have a conversation with us about what we need, and that would be helpful.
Hey, youths again, it's Uncle Matt, or as I like to say, UM. Listen, there's a lot of talk about AI taking jobs, and I would just like to say that for the price of one pastrami sandwich, I'll go through your clips. I'll go watch them all. I'll watch all the yucks. I'll watch all the wacky goof-em-ups. Except at lunchtime, when of course I will be eating that delectable cured meat between two pieces of grain molded into something that my hand can grasp. But other than that, I'll watch all the videos of the games and the video games that you're playing. So don't go AI, go UM.
Well done. Well done. I like this.
It is short. It's just like,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you, Ouroboros, for clipping that as if to prove a point. Yeah, I also think that like it's worth noting, just as an aside, that we get some pretty great clips, right? There are people in the community. Like, I really want to call out like Ouroboros and a couple others, particularly Ouroboros, who lurks and goes back through footage the night after and makes clips of funny things that they remember. Like, the amount of encouragement that provides to a streamer is huge. And just like a huge thank you and shout out to viewers that do that, because that is how you get good clips. You don't get good clips by an algorithm. You get good clips when someone does a thing because that person understands your content. See, like, by the metrics, we don't clip well, right? Because our bits are longer than 10 seconds. Right? We have longer, more drawn out conversations and bits, and it doesn't clip well a lot of the time. And it takes someone who understands our content and our humor to really clip us correctly. Right? And I don't trust an AI to do it for a second. I think they're all going to be garbage. So there's that. All right. Let's talk about other. All right. So you remember? Do you remember when we talked about how Saudi Arabia was going to buy EA? Do you remember?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Well, there's a bit of a snag.
And I'll say a complication. I know it's calling it a snag. I actually don't think this is much of a snag.
Okay, a minimum of complication, which is that the Secretary of the Treasury and several senators of the United States are kind of concerned that a company as big as EA would be delivering all of its information directly to Saudi Arabia. Now, why they weren't this concerned when Saudi Arabian interests bought Pokemon Go, a game which notoriously has geo-tracking data on millions of people,
it's too complicated,
is unfathomable to me, but they didn't, so that went through. But now they're upset and potentially worried about this. So there may be additional regulatory hurdles for them to clear. I don't know that that's going to be a particularly high bar, but it is an additional wrinkle in this tale.
Yeah, like, here, hold on.
I like this one. I like Medusa's. They were eating lunch when Pokemon Go was bought, maybe. It was a delicious pastrami on rye, yeah.
I think it was pastrami on rye. I mean, it's funny. I hate globalizing in this way and wrapping people up, but on average, with the age that our representatives are usually, and their familiarity with technology, it is easier to understand I could see Pokemon Go or Niantic or whatever getting across someone's desk and be like, oh, they're a gaming company, like, oh, they make a Pokemon game, who cares? Like, and not dig. I know they don't do that specifically, but there's a difference between that and buying EA, which is a company that makes multiple has a what is essentially is already a propaganda wing, if you want it could be, and it could very easily do it somewhere else, right?
Yep.
Even though the geocaching thing kind of is a huge deal as well, I think because people don't fully understand what that is or what that entails, and they have other things to hopefully be governing, I feel as though that is why something like that slips through the cracks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, because basically this the Kotaku article brings up that not only is there backlash from senators and developers, but basically to get it through, Wall Street banks will have like 500 million in fees alone, right? So what I wanted to do, I'm trying to think of so if it's going through for 55 billion, that's not accounting the 20 billion that they're making up, or basically borrowing against
financing with debt. Yeah.
That's really what? A percent? 2%? I'm trying to think. I'm terrible with math, but what is
1?
So oopsie. And I know that's insane for anyone who's sane. But this is a drop in the bucket. This is a pass go.
We're in what I would call monopoly money territory, where it doesn't actually matter. It's all fake, right? It's just a number of zeros. It doesn't actually do anything, right? You have reached a point where people might as well just be trading gold bars for all of the good that the actual movement of money does for the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I don't think that I feel like I'm giving folks who actually spoke up about it. Richard Blumenthal and Elizabeth Warren basically called on the Treasury Department to put the brakes on the stuff, right? That's basically what the Kotaku article says. This is not me poo-poo talking Blumenthal or Warren at all in this. I appreciate that they are saying something.
Yep.
I wish more people would say something. I wish that saying something did more things.
I think that's my big wish too.
But it's funny because I know that the headlines for this are backlash and snag and whatever. I'm I think this is the imaginary cost of doing imaginary business.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna roll through.
Yep. Yeah, that's 100% where I think I land too.
At least in the current administration and how the government is run. That's just that's just how it's gonna be.
Yep.
Now, again, I want to go back to the story though, because if you remember, buying this is insane. And again, there are many smarter people than I that I'm sure have crunched the numbers and blah blah blah, but they're going to buy this because they're doing it against borrowing basically a third, if not a little bit more of the money that they're spending. They're going to do massive layoffs. And then the products that are already just sort of fine are going to suffer. I don't see a way that even if the most malicious idea is true and the other governments want this company to sort of inject more non-American culture or propaganda, or however you want it, whatever the good or bad version of that is.
Whatever the pearl clutching is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be effective because the product is going to be worse.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a way where they end up making, not because a company owned by Saudi Arabia couldn't actually do beautiful art if given the chance, that they're not going to be given the chance.
Right.
That's not why this is being bought.
Yes.
So I'm so curious, just 5 years from now, when we're streaming Will from the bunker, where where this deal will be and how many extra imaginary zeros will be on the next company who buys it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I
don't know. I think who was it? Somebody correctly pointed out that the interest, a new guy pointed out that the interest on that 20 billion is more than EA makes in a year. So EA goes negative on the debt.
Yeah.
EA literally cannot ever in its current path recoup the debt that is being placed on it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not possible. So
sorry, side note, Naquib, I actually just put your comment on listening to extra credits on the radio, and then I gave a thumbs up, and then I realized if you're listening to this on the radio, you wouldn't have been able to see the thumbs up. So I'm giving you a verbal thumbs up for thank you for listening to us in an audio format as well. I do very much appreciate it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay.
Oh no, R2, that is my bunker. It's the box I used at PAX West.
That's right.
Will and I can fit in there.
Yeah, that's right. Matt has the bunker. I have the undisclosed location. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, I want to give kudos and also recognize that some things are harder than people thought they were. So GOG has been committed to game preservation for a while. It's one of the big selling points of their company, right? It's a thing. Last November, they committed to the game preservation program. And it's a great idea that they're going to try and maintain all of the games that they sell indefinitely and keep them running. Now, if you've ever tried to play a classic game, that's difficult. I tried to play for my birthday several years ago, the Journeyman Project 3 Legacy of Time. It's an FMV.
Oh, I remember that.
My
gosh.
It's an FMV point-and-click adventure game about traveling in time. It's a wonderful ride. It also runs like absolute crap. And I had to jury rig a 2 PC solution with my streaming rig and my laptop at the time in order to get it to run it all. It is a challenge, right? Because many of these games that are beloved things from our childhood are difficult to play, not because of any malfeasance on anyone's part or because of an abandonment of support, in an ongoing sense, but simply because they were written for a different processor architecture in a different time. Right? And so GOG has been attempting to work against that. However, they're discovering that it's harder to do that than they thought, which is a little discouraging, but they're soldiering on. One of the problems is that they'd already begun working on this. They had about 3,000 games that were restored and could work, and a bunch of those have broken again. Because it's not a one and done, right? Because technology is an evolving thing. It's not a one and done. Many of the they're going to have to continue to update support for many games as time goes on. And this is a big ask for GOG, which is admittedly not a giant company, right? It's not as big. If it were Steam tackling this, I would say that there would be more resources at their disposal. And GOG isn't small, but it's smaller. And this is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
As a result, they're scaling back their goal.
They kind of have to
for the preservation program. They had hoped to add 500 games to the preservation program by the end of 2025, but it's looking like there's only going to be somewhere between 300 and 350, which is still 300 or 350 more games that are being preserved. Let me be very clear. That's a good thing. The heartbreaking thing is that this is proving so much more difficult to do than anticipated, even by people who are deeply intellectually, emotionally, and financially invested in doing this.
Sure. Yeah. It's great that people are trying to do this. I think the trying is all you can do. Like, the technology is moving at a pace that is affecting art faster, I think, than any other time in human history. And being able to preserve how a thing was is a complicated and kind of esoteric problem anyway. So you have to do what you can. And I'm appreciative of GOG for sort of taking this torch, even though it feels like a Sisyphusian task, right? Like, there's no end and you'll never do it right, but it's still worth doing. Yeah.
As an example, and DemonWorks is bringing it up just as I was about to, in addition to all of the one of the things that I think is really interesting here, and sort of an indictment of the copyright system as it currently stands, is in addition to all of the technical challenges, because there are a lot of those, right? For instance, some of you, the programmers in the audience will cringe and wince visibly when I mention that some games have their frame rate tied to the processor clock speed. That's a problem that needs to be overcome before you can have a game run on a processor that runs multiple orders of magnitude faster than the processor for which it was originally designed.
Woo!
So yeah. In addition to that, the copyright for some of these games is esoteric at best, and they have literally reached the point where they are hiring private investigators to figure out who has the rights to some of these games, because nobody knows.
Yeah, and even some of the people that owned them didn't know that they owned them.
Yeah.
The Kotaku article goes on to sort of talk about them finding one person who owned a bunch of games that didn't know that they even did, and then they're like, "This is great, yeah, go for it." Like,
yeah,
you know.
But it is really nice to see that they are that committed, right? That they are willing to put up that kind of money to do this for an
do it right.
Yeah, to do it. Yeah.
Because there's one way, I mean, the one way to do this is to do it wrong and do it illegally in a way that wouldn't be accessible to people because because of piracy concerns or because of many other things, right? That's not what they're interested in doing. They're interested in trying to, in the very difficult legal framework that we all exist in, try to find a way to preserve these games as much as possible. And it's neat. Again, it is impossible and they'll never be done, but I do really appreciate that they're doing it. Right. So thank you, GOG. Yeah.
Speaking of old games and preservation, Chad, you remember Atari back in ye olden days? Remember the Intellivision?
The competitor to Atari.
Yeah.
Well, Atari bought them in 2024.
Yeah. They decided that it would be a cool idea to re-release the Intellivision?
I think this is dope. And maybe it's my old man blood talking, but I love this. I never had an Intellivision. Again, because I'm 1,000 years old, I had an Atari 2600, a less powerful console of the time. The commercials, if you go to the Polygon article in the show notes, they have like a link to the YouTube videos of like the old commercials of like Atari versus Intellivision. It's like the first console war. It's cute by comparison. What this is, Loomis, precisely. This is a thing that like is going to be real. Like if it functions the way that they're saying it functions, which is essentially it's preloaded with a bunch of the games. The controllers, as you see here, are no longer wired. They are actually like USB-C dock charged, and it has HDMI out. It has USB port, like, but it still looks like the old school Intellivision. Like, this is not preservation, but it's a really nice secondary option. This is usable nostalgia that I'm sure the games themselves, when running, are essentially probably running on a equivalent of, like, not exactly, but like a Raspberry Pi or something, right? Like,
it's like a Pi.
But this is going a long way to, if you cannot truly continually get the exact processor clocking or like any of the incredible numerous minutia of a video game from the past running and working, this is a really cool option that, again, is not accurate, but it does to your brain what all these remakes and remasters do to our brain about specific games. If you play Resident Evil 4 now, in your head, you're like, oh, this is kind of how it's always looked. No, it has not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not talking about like graphics specifically for the Intellivision, but the experience of using an Intellivision hopefully will be enough to make you feel that like, oh, this is what it was like, even though it wasn't actually. And I really, really appreciate this.
Yeah. I do too. I think I think getting a new Intellivision is kind of a cool thing. So you know, if this is, it is going to clock in at like $150, which is not a small amount of money, but also for a collector of Intellivision stuff, this is a worthwhile and worthy investment, it seems.
It's also really nice because, you know, the company of Intellivision like no longer exists. This is called the Intellivision Spirit, by the way, which I think is a apt name.
Yeah. Yeah, and yes, chat, you're correct. You need to hook this up to a giant solid wood TV that's a CRT in order to get the real Intellivision experience. Yes, that will be true. However, consider also they don't make those anymore. So we're going to have to find ways to get as close as we can without CRTs. And I don't mean a terrible CRT filter. God, please stop putting mandatory CRT filters in games.
I have a Commodore 64 monitor in my storage unit for that very reason. It's the best CRT monitor you can get for any classic video game. I'll fight anybody on that. It's just it's so vivid and perfect. It's amazing.
It's true. The Melee players own all of the CRTs. That's true.
Yeah.
That's correct. Okay, let's talk about a company that's made some missteps.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We all play Destiny. It's Destiny Tuesdays, right? Like every Tuesday we play Destiny.
Yep, I definitely played Destiny the last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which was in the month of Smirch, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. I want to, again, give our classic Destiny disclaimer. I love Destiny and Destiny 2 so much in theory. I've wanted to love and play them for years now. I have since not. Yep. Because they make it difficult to onboard and they do silly things a lot.
Yeah.
I want this game to continue, but dear God, do they make it hard for that to keep happening? Will, please continue.
All right. So July 15th, 2025 of this year, a time which you could be forgiven for forgetting because it's this year and everything is a haze. The Edge of Fate was released, their newest expansion, and with it came the introduction of unstable cores, a new currency used to upgrade gear past the current season limit. New currency added to the game that you needed to farm and collect, and the ratio between time spent farming and the number of cores needed to upgrade higher tier gear was pretty egregious in many players' opinions, and it has been one of the most disliked parts of the new expansion. Well, it only took them 3 months, and they have announced that they'll be removing unstable cores. They said, our bad. We gave it 3 months. It's our bad.
That's how unstable they are.
Yeah, correct. So in true Bungie fashion, they're giving everyone 777,777 of them because it's Bungie and that's what they do. Yeah. And then they're going to be deprecating them as quickly as they can, but they have to write the code to get them out of the game. It is kind of first off, props to Bungie for listening to the community and saying, hey, we tried this new system and it didn't work. So we're going to make things right by giving you enough of the stuff to get you over until we can get it out of the game. Right? And on the other hand, how did another currency make it into Destiny 2 in the first place?
How many currencies are in Destiny 2?
That's a great question, Matt. We don't have time to list them all.
We're going to see if we can find out. Glimmer, legendary shards, enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, ascendant shards and alloys. And then there's different crafting currencies, which is ascendant alloy, harmonic alloy, resonant alloy, silver. But those aren't, you don't buy those.
Correct. Then there's Glimmer.
Well, Glimmer you don't buy either.
Correct. No, none of these aren't things that you would purchase. These are things that you would farm. This is part of the gameplay loop, right? This is more analogous to grind currency, not purchase currency. right? But there are way too many grind currencies, and there's way too many currencies in Destiny 2 already. It's approaching like currency soup levels of just like, yo, could you don't?
God, I just
also
let me
several
love you,
of those
Destiny
are vertical
2.
trees. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is this a farming sim?
Yeah, essentially. So props to them for undoing it, but like, why? My big question is, what's the design impetus for adding another new one to begin with?
Again, having not played it, I can't like dive into what I expect for them to do. Completely outside of it in a bubble, you make a new currency that is hard to obtain so that you lengthen your playtime with the content you currently have. And by lengthen the playtime, I mean, yeah, there you go. I mean, specifically, like, so you have to grind and do the content over and over and over again to get the drop. Yeah. So I don't know.
Sorry, my lungs turned to water for a second.
That's okay. At some point I do want to do a script on like the like just an exploration into like on a brand new account buying the latest expansion. What it takes to start Destiny 2.
Yeah. I think Yep. I would be down to come along and help record that.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully the next one, guys, keep trying. I want this to do well. You're still the best gunplay in the business, in my opinion. All the other elements need to kind of come back.
Yep.
Man, remember Sparrow races? That was fun.
All right.
Don't die, Will.
I'm trying very hard not to die.
At least for the next half hour.
Okay, great. And after that, I can die?
I mean, I don't want you to, but
I have permission. I can shuffle off this mortal coil. Great.
Yeah. I don't want that. Pardon.
Last story for today. The EU is moving strongly towards a recommendation for the EU Parliament to ban loot boxes for kids under 16.
They did do that. Thanks.
So what the PC Gamer article has more details. You can check it, but the base version is that the Internal Market and Consumer Protection Committee adopted a report that encourages the European Commission to tackle a bunch of things. This passed out of the committee with 32 in favor, 9 against, 9 abstentions. The 5 against means that this might not pass.
Yeah.
Reminder that everything in the European Commission must be done unanimously. It's a federation that way. So it'll be interesting. God. Take one sip of water, goes down the wrong thing, done for a minute.
Take another sip to confuse it back into submission. That's normally the trick. Yeah, here we go. Everyone perceive Will taking a sip of water. Do it again. One more will do it. I think talk to your not doctor about drinking water before somebody else does.
Okay. So this is coupled with a recommendation that it limit access to social media, and specifically social media which has retention algorithms or engagement-based recommender algorithms for minors as well. But this is a broad package of recommendations.
Yeah, also this would basically make essentially kids 13, if you hit 13, you could have access to social media with the parents' permission, or 16 without permission, and with some recommendations such as them recommending the loot box ban. Now, someone asked in chat what they are actually defining as a loot box. I'm not sure if they actually have that in writing at all, because everything from the literal Destiny loot box I have behind the EU flag there to
that's an Overwatch loot box map.
What did I say?
Destiny.
Oh, sorry, it's still in my brain. Yep, Overwatch loot box. to literally cracking packs and Magic the Gathering is technically a loot box.
Right. It's a physical loot box, right? Are blind boxes loot boxes? Right? Like,
and maybe their hard line will be literally digital things. Right. Because there is even though it's minimal, there is a singular barrier to a physical type of thing that is that can limit in a way. Yeah, I'm super curious to see how this goes. I think, again, everything is complicated and we want to be very careful about like, and then like, okay, great. So we're limiting all this stuff. How?
Right.
How are we doing it? Oh, is it photo IDs and AI nonsense and like all that? Well, then that's bad. So like,
let's talk to Discord about how well that went.
It's complicated, and the problem, especially with any of these stories, is I tend to agree with a lot of it up to the 70% point until you get to implementation, and then no one has the right answer. So it's kind of hard to go rah rah, yes, hooray, absolutely. Like I can do that in theory. But then how well, I'll sort of try to pause this for myself, but I'd be curious what you think of what also YouTube and Twitch, Brad and Janet, and Rocky over on Nebula. You can message us on Blue Sky if you have ideas here. But like, what is the way to implement this that actually works? I don't have one.
Right, because I think that there is merit in the idea that's saying that, like, we already limit people who are underage from gambling in casinos. That's pretty universally true, right? That, like, gambling in a casino is a thing that you're not allowed to do until you're a certain age. Okay, that makes sense, right? I think that's sort of, like, unless people really want to fight on that, like, that seems like colloquially true. So, like, if we can agree that loot boxes are a kind of gambling, and that seems like a pretty straightforward acknowledgement, right? That you are putting in an amount of money, time, effort, whatever, potentially real currency, to gain an uncertain outcome. That's gambling. Okay. Gambling isn't bad necessarily in and of itself, right? It is worse for some people's brains than for others. Fully acknowledged, right? But some people enjoy it in moderation. If we can agree that people can't gamble in casinos until they're a certain age, and that this is a kind of gambling, it makes sense that there is some amount of intent behind removing kids under that age from gambling in a different format, right? I get that intent. I am also hung up on the implementation.
Well, that's the thing. With a casino, here's how you stop kids from getting into a casino. Multiple ways. One, you have someone on the floor that checks IDs. That's pretty easy. If a kid wants to go to all the trouble to get a fake ID, there'll always be people getting by. But come on, that's going to be a very minimal amount of people. You're going to be protecting a lot of people through that. Also, casinos are, in the ones that we are talking about in the traditional sense, are a physical location, meaning that children, probably the age of 13, really probably can't get there easily. Hopefully, right? So like there's other ways to get across there as well. When you move into the digital space, that's a different thing. And then what is the equivalent of the block of either distance or a bouncer? Someone mentioned in chat that just a global loot box ban would be the easy way to do it. I would posit that is actually more complicated, because what is killing a boss in an MMO or Borderlands or something and the loot pinata that shoots a bunch of loot out and it's all at random intervals? Granted, you could say like, oh, well, you're not paying money to do that, like per pull, per boss, per mob, but you did pay money to do it. Like, and I'm not saying that there's not litigation or law that could be written around that. It just does make it complicated because randomization of a reward is something that is so intrinsic in video games.
And to be clear, I don't think either of us is saying that this means that it's not a worthy goal.
Again, this is Sisyphusian task. Keep it up. This is good. It's idea good, implementation
difficult.
What now?
Right. Yeah. Like it is one of those things where you're like, I guess you and all of your friends are doing a thing, and you're like, let's get pizza, and they're like, great, and then you're like, all right, you all have to pay for my pizza because I had the idea. ooh, the idea is great. The implementation lacks something, right?
No, I like this. I think I'm going to use that this weekend, actually.
Sure, great. Yeah, awesome. Your friends will love me for that idea.
I'm going to make so many new friends.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So, again, the idea, good, implementation, difficult, because the devil is definitely in the implementation, right? Because, like, I think there are plenty of people who do enjoy games that would be banned under a broad loot box ban, right? And I definitely see why some people would want to go that route, right? And I respect that desire, but I will also say that there are plenty of games that people enjoy responsibly in moderation that include elements that would be removed, or games that would need to be shut down as a result of that ban, right? And
Can we try as an experiment, and we're going to get it wrong, so everybody just buckle up for that. Can we try to come up with a wording or phrasing or categorization of the type of loot box that we would want to see in this band? Not the implementation of how it is done, just like what the definition of that is.
I think it's
right?
Any randomized container that can be directly or indirectly purchased for legal tender is really
how do you get across the idea then, like the individual container,
yes,
in a way could be considered the game. Like, I think it has to also have to do with like a value prop
within the context of like a digital structure, right? So like you have to have a game in which the contents of the container have uncertain value, and that the individual container, right, is what must be purchased, not the game, right? Not the overall structure, right? You buy a game, the game has randomized loot in it. I'm playing Fellowship now. It's fine. But it has randomized loot in it. That's not what... But what we would be saying is if there were a container inside that game that you could spend directly or indirectly through an intermediate in-game currency real money for, that's, I think, where people really have the sticking point, right? Like, if you have loot boxes for just playing the game, right? Hey, you've hit level 53. Here's your level 53 random reward. You could get any one of these shiny things.
Here's what it is. And it's defining a sub definition. Let's go hard back into old school casinos. It's the pull. It's if you have to pay money to pull the lever on the slot machine to open a thing that has a random chance, if you are paying real world currency per pull or for pulls, then that would fit the definition of not being allowed. Is there a hole there? Like, because again, like that would take out things like an MMO boss dropping loot, because you're not paying real money per pull.
Right. And we're also someone brought up the very real thing that like many games claim that you can't buy milk at your grocery store without gems. True. That's why they directly or indirectly, right? Any in-game currency that you can indirectly that you can purchase that purchases the thing still counts. Right? That's not a level of obfuscation that gets around the law.
Yeah, like trying to think of other things. Everything's going so fast in chat. I'm trying to keep up. I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
There's of course, like, you know, then it like there's different elements. I know people are talking about in-game currencies and things like that, right? There's a different discussion to be had about what an in-game currency is and those that you can or cannot directly or indirectly buy for real world currency. Because like you can buy, you know, if you can buy gems in a game for $, and then exchange those gems. Actually, the other way around. Let's say there's Starlight that you earn in a game, and you can exchange 10,000 Starlight for 1 space gem, and you can also buy space gems for real money. There'll always be a market to move those around, and therefore it gets muddy if you can actively switcheroo currencies between in-game earnable, in-game purchasable, and real world.
Yeah.
And there's lots of obfuscation here. I know people are talking about like, you know, oh, you got to buy the V-Bucks that come in a certain pack number.
Right. Yeah. And we're not, those are all also bad practices that are intended to make you spend more money. We're just trying to deal with this narrow slice of it rather than tackle the whole like all of the problems with microtransactions and dark patterns in getting people to spend money in online games, right? Yeah. We're just trying to deal with what does it mean for something to be a loot box in this context in a way that the EU is potentially trying to take action on, right?
And like, Chris even in chat just said something along the lines of, if paper magic is included, what about Arena? Now, Will, in Arena, once your money is in Arena, can you get it out at all? It's locked.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I buy a pre-order bundle for Arena, it's gone, right? It's just in Arena. My account gains cards, which is cool, but I can't get it out unless I did something hideously illegal and sold my account.
Ooh, okay. Dumb idea. Let's break this idea that's stupid and bad I just had.
Okay, great. Excellent. I love your stupid and bad ideas. They're my favorite.
What if there could be a blanket rule that says any currency that you buy something in a game has to be a real world currency?
Yes, and then, yeah, right, that we eliminate the premium.
You eliminate gems. You eliminate, like, and I think there's problems.
So,
I think there's problems.
So one of the problems with that is, currently, if you are skilled enough at a variety of games, we'll use Arena as an example, but this holds
skilled or have the time, or both?
Both. Both in Arena's case. It is possible to earn all of your premium currency through playing the game. So in Arena, you can earn gold by completing quests and doing dailies and stuff, and then you can enter certain events or certain competitions with gold, and those events pay out in the premium currency gems, as an example, right? And there are other games that do this too. I'm just using Arena because it's where we're at, and it's a sensible digital analog for something that is obviously a physical loot box that helps us get a little bit closer, right? So that eliminating that step does make it harder for people to do things in game that required that they currently can do, right? So for instance, sealed events are only accessible with gems or with real money, but you can earn enough gems by playing the game to get in.
But couldn't you essentially
they could assign you a balance to the account that you can't withdraw.
Yeah. I mean, look, we all know the real reason why, and I keep using the word like gems, but you know the reason why buyable in-game currency exists.
Yeah.
It's to make more money.
Yeah.
It's to obfuscate the value of what you are doing, because what's a V-Buck worth anyway? And make sure that just it's the old like Ren Fair trick of like, here's you buy 10 meal tickets for $15. You can only buy them in packs of 10. But the roast chicken is 12.
Yeah.
Like it's
Ren Fair did that?
It's
wild. Okay.
I know. I just keep going back to it. It was a bad one. It was a small one up north. But if you
come to mind, it's much better.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Like that's why these things, like there's no, I'm trying to even think of the exception of even like the magic thing that you said. There's no like, I mean, other than getting around law, there's no reason to have these other currencies.
Right. Yeah. Other than to hold value that's assigned to your account.
Obfuscate a value and therefore take more money from people than something is even, and I'll use this in air quotes, worth.
Yeah.
Because value is intrinsically in the eye of the purchaser or the seller.
Correct.
Nothing has a calculated.
Right. Yeah. Value is relative to the market supply and demand. Yes.
Yes, and RC, yes, four technically, 5 people total. Right. Yeah, that would do it, but
Yeah, no. Like there's math, right? So
I just wanted Dragon Stew. That's all I wanted.
I just think it is really interesting that like there isn't. I think if there were a readily approachable, widely accepted definition or solution to this, we'd already be there. I think part of the problem is that there's contention over how much government oversight people want in their recreational time, right? Like I totally I think we can agree that there is some amount of concern over introducing gambling to kids super early. That's one of the reasons why you can't just go into a casino and bet your milk money on the blackjack table, right? Like, that's not a thing, right? Because, like, obviously it's not a thing. But I think it also gets sticky when we try and work on I feel like the solution here is going to be really arbitrarily crunchy and not intuitive, which is unsatisfying to us as people who discuss this. But I do think that there is something to the legalistic nature of what's being proposed, that certain things would need to fall in or out. So for instance, and we're already making steps towards it. For instance, different jurisdictions have demanded that specific kinds of games publish the odds of a thing. So like anything for which the odds must be published might be a way, right? Because there's already a definition of like the gambling aspect where you have to publish the rate of different payouts, right? And that applies to several different styles of game into many jurisdictions. So that's an option, right? It could be anything where you would have to publish that. Also, you must XYZQRS, right? And so that's an approach, but I think it's going to be very, very crunchy. And I don't think it's going to be intuitive when we get there.
And we do have to keep going back to what is the problem that people are trying to solve here.
Right.
The problem is what they are positing, and I would agree, is exposing children to a bunch of flashy gambling that designed to keep you locked in at an early age will be detrimental to them in adulthood because it will normalize a thing far more than it usually is that could exacerbate a problem that could have real world consequences down the line.
And I think, by the way, we should also mention that when we're talking about this and what they're tackling, they're also tackling a bunch of social media problems, which are a little less relevant to our particular milieu, right?
This is a larger...
This is a larger thing. One of the things that, for instance, they're tackling is infinite scrolling, like TikTok does, right?
Yeah.
Which, as someone who has had problems with infinite scrolling in the past, I will tell you for freezies that TikTok is buried deeply on my phone and it only gets open to see TikToks that people send me, and then it gets closed, and YouTube isn't on my phone. I took it off entirely, right? Because infinite scrolling is a problem for my ADHD-riddled brain. Right. So
I mean, I think anyone who uses a smartphone, even beyond those things. I don't use TikTok. I use Reddit. I use Blue Sky, and every once in a while I use Instagram. Yeah. And I'll still catch myself in a rotation hole of all those things and have to snap myself out of it. And I have been affected by this as an adult. Like, I can only imagine if I was 14 and this all was going on, how quickly I would be taken in on everything. So,
yeah, it's a really interesting, right? Because obviously we can't hide it. We can't say that it like doesn't exist as a thing in our society. And I don't think anyone's saying that like we should say that, you can't acknowledge that these things exist for kids, but also trying to find ways to stop people. Like, we don't want gambling, what was his name? Joe Cool, right?
The camel?
Yeah, the camel for cigarette ads. Like, I think that's like the first level of like trying to get away from like, hey kids, addictive habit forming behavior is interesting actually, and maybe you should all engage in it in your free time with your recreational spending.
But think about something even like, it's not a mascot per se, but think about something like Candy Crush. Right. Like there's not gambling in Candy Crush from what I understand, but it is like there are, maybe Candy Crush is the wrong thing I'm thinking of. Like, I'm trying to think, I'll go OG Overwatch with loot boxes. I think that might be sort of the better example here. You get loot boxes for free in the game. It trains you to have the anticipation and the very like really fun like animated shake up and that loot box reveal is a masterclass in emotional manipulation and microdosing of dopamine. It is it is insane how well that works.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sell that experience. You
Right.
sell that experience a la carte. Again, for things that you theoretically and due to bad odds can also win in game. But like, games are a really easy way to onboard something in the real first one's free approach to do something that essentially will be detrimental to you if done in excess. And what are children not good at? Limiting excess.
Right. And it should be noted too that that same experience has been done in other ways where it's not as where it's not monetized, right? So for instance, the chest opening animation in Vampire Survivors is very similar to the chest opening animation in Overwatch, except you can't buy a chest in Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Right? And so that leads to a different behavior pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. As always, it's very complicated. It's interesting to talk about. We talk about this, I feel like maybe like 5 times a year. We kind of do a deep dive. Maybe one of these days we'll stumble upon something that is good. I do think, I mean, it would lose companies a lot of money to do this, which is why it'll never happen. But making everything that you need to buy in a game actual money. Like, we give horse armor a lot of crap, but you didn't buy Microsoft points to do that. You paid $2.99. Like, and then that's why it's a meme, right? Because back then, especially, $3 nearly for a piece of nonsense armor in a video game. You're like, what the hell? And that seems quaint today.
Yeah.
But like, I think that backlash could be a very easy reason, or one of the many reasons that added up to, well, what if we obfuscate this by like, no, you're buying V-Bucks, you're buying gems, you're buying Virtua doubloons. Like, it's...
Yeah. And by the way, thank you to both chats for like actually working with us on this and like having a good faith discussion. Cause like this is complicated. There is not going to be a solution that makes everyone happy. I think to begin with, I think, there are going to be solutions that just make the most people the least upset, is probably where we're headed. So, you know.
Oops. $2.99 is worth 4.8 today.
Yeah, correct.
Both chats, Koppel. Both chats. Sadly, Brad and Janet cannot see each other, though we can see both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, Ryan, this is a great sort of ender to this. Is it weird that I generally trust and am thankful that the EU is moving forward with this kind of stuff? No, Ryan, it's not weird. There's something interesting that's going on in the United States that I think not to get too extra politics on all of this, but trust, I think, in the government on, and I'll say this very specifically. Trust in the physical, like the manifestation of what the government is at an all-time low across party. I think some people on the right do trust the Trump administration, but that's not the full government.
Yeah.
Like, I think trust has been eroded to a point in the US that it's going to take us decades to like actually start to trust that group again if we ever get there. Whereas something in the EU like this, look, I don't live in the EU and I'm sure there are so many problems, but it feels like there's at least a sense of like, yes, if this is moving forward, I trust they're doing what they're saying.
And I think it's, I think the other big thing that helps with the EU is that anything that's going to affect the entire EU and therefore the entire world has to be unanimous.
Yeah.
That unanimity really helps to ensure that there must be significant compromises that leave everyone okay, if not happy, with the solution in a way that, prevents a decent amount of the tomfoolery and shenanigans that one might expect in a smaller group that does not require unanimity on something as complicated as loot boxes.
Yeah. I will say, and also just from the point of governance, this reminds me, I'll just do a small plug for the only podcast about movies, which I believe, forget what even movie came out this week, but last week we did Prime Minister, as the story of Jacinda, the Prime Minister of New Zealand during COVID and through a bunch of other stuff. And it's a really interesting look. And obviously it's a documentary, so it has a bias to it. But there's a really interesting look about like even though her win condition, it felt like, was make sure the most people don't die. That also has negative connotations to economic factors and like other things. So like all of the stuff, even when you're doing the best thing that you can, even when you get a unanimous thing, even all the like, there will always be downsides to every decision. Sometimes those downsides are things that I would agree with, like, oh no, can the companies not make all the money? They just have to make a shit ton of money. Well, okay. Like, so I don't know. It's all very interesting. We'll see. Hopefully this moves forward and can get the universal yays, and maybe we'll see some change if the EU can get it across the board. Maybe other places it will do it as well.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, 2 quick reminders. 1, if you have thoughts and you're not in chat and you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, or you're in Rocky or whatever, hit us up on Blueski. You can do that thing where you find us there and tell us what you thought about episodes. Or do you have the one and only massive solution to all loot boxes across all platforms? Please let us
know.
Yeah.
Or sell it for so many gems.
Yeah. And of course, a reminder that this weekend you can microtransact for good by using your donations, both large and small, to influence our gameplay in some Deep Rock Galactic. If you want to summon a Grunt, that's great. If you want to summon a Mactara, that's going to cost you a little more. But please do join us. Whether or not you're able to donate this Saturday, your viewership is another way that you can give to our fundraiser for direct relief in celebration of my birthday. So please do be there. We're going to have guests. It'll be fun. There will be steins. There might be beards. There will be a cool reward at $3,000, which I think many of you will be interested in. So please join us for all of that this Saturday, noon to midnight Eastern.
I'm very excited for it. It's funny. I have actually, I'll spoil this. I don't care. I'm not even supposed to say it. I am recording a new Abolish Everything on the Friday night in New York City at 10 p.m. So I'm going to be arriving to Will's birthday very awake. Maybe I just won't sleep between them. And then we're going for 12 hours. So it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be well, a time. I
think should we on Thursday for my stream time run me through the beginning of Deep Rock Galactic for those 2 hours?
I think
I can
probable
do it.
And we could play Fellowship next week.
Yeah, I know we keep kicking Fellowship down. Anyway, we'll deal with that on the Twitch side of things.
Having server issues, so it's wise to kick it down the road.
Cool. Great. And we still have Absalom
when that gets crossplay running. Yep. Okay.
Anyway, this has been another wonderful Games for Breakfast. Thank you all for joining us. As always, we're going to end it with our classic ending that is the same every time. And the reason we keep it the same every time is also the same every time. It's because we want the community to be able to engage in one solidary act together, timed to so the power of all of our doing it at the same time can come together and really kick off our week in a positive way where we can survive the turmoils of whatever life is throwing at us. So please join me as I say thank you for watching the show, and we end with this statement. Again, it's the same every time. Enjoy your pastrami sandwich!